I was kind of like resistant to the idea of self-care. To be honest, I cringed a little bit. It's not just like, oh, do these things that work for other people. Hey dancers, it's Kirsten. Welcome back to the channel. Listen, we all know it's holiday season. It's audition prep season. It is nutcracker season. There is a lot happening. And while there are so many exciting, joyful moments that tend to happen in this time of year, it can also be so easy to get depleted mentally, emotionally, and physically. So with that in mind, before I start sharing more videos with you about preparing for audition season, I want to first make a video in which I share with you different self-care ideas that can really help you to not only feel restored if you're already in a place of feeling very exhausted and depleted, but also to prevent you from really getting into that place very easily, so that you can not only perform at an optimal level, but enjoy this time of year and all that it has to offer. I also do want to mention that this video is inspired by a post I made on Instagram a couple of weeks ago. It was received super well. I was just sharing a couple of ideas for self-care, and in the post, I did admit that I have had an interesting relationship with the idea of self-care. I have had a lot of misconceptions and hesitations about the idea of self-care. And the reason being is that I think I had this idea that self-care is just an excuse to say no to things that you don't want to do and to do whatever you feel like, and then to just only consider yourself instead of a larger context of other people or your future. It just seems so like me, whatever you feel at the moment. So of course, with that idea in mind, I was kind of like resistant to the idea of self-care. To be honest, I cringed a little bit at the idea of it, just because the way I initially started seeing it represented in the media was in a way that I just didn't really agree with. However, that being said, in the last couple of months, I have personally started to explore the idea of what self-care can look like in my life, and I found that it has not only increased my well-being, it has increased my creativity in decision-making, in my business, my artistry, and my energy that I bring to the studio when I dance. Genuinely, it has just increased my quality of life tremendously. So I want to share with you if you've ever felt that way, or if like the militaristic ballerina mindset of like you just have to grind, the glory is in the guts. I totally used to be there when I was younger. So if that's you, I really hope that this video resonates with you and that you walk away with really practical ideas for how you can start to pour back into yourself so that you have more to give of the things that are most important to you. So let's get into it, shall we? Okay, first, before I get into some very practical ideas for how you can start to engage with self-care, I do want to talk about my idea of kind of what self-care is and the point of it for dancers. As dancers, it is so easy to put our future goals or other people's opinions or the responsibilities that we signed up for. It's so easy to put those things first, to the point where we will deny not only our own desires, but our own needs, our own human needs, in a way that actually inhibits us from successfully doing the things that are important to us, like performing well consistently, having the ability to and the energy to show up with that spark and that artistry and our personality in our dancing that really makes us unique, or to go through audition season without totally getting burnt out and wanting to quit. Self-care can really be important in that when you set up rhythms to remind yourself to actually pour energy and wellness back into yourself, to focus on your own well-being so that not only you can have a more a higher quality of life as a human and as a dancer, but also you will have more energy and presence of mind to perform the way you want to and focus adequately on the things that matter when you do want to focus on your productivity and your output. Self-care doesn't have to be self-indulgent. It doesn't have to just look like, you know, eating pizza whenever you want while you have a bubble bath. It doesn't have to look that way that is often, I think, kind of characterized on Instagram. This is incredibly important, to have rhythms in your life that remind you that you are a person first. And you can't just continue to put all these things, all these expectations and all of these like, oh, I have to do this and I have to be that and I have to achieve this or I'm a failure. All these things, it is so easy to let those pressures that honestly a lot of times we put on ourselves to eat away at our sense of worthiness to actually be well. So with that said, I also do want to acknowledge two things that I often see getting in the way of dancers taking care of themselves adequately. Number one is the scarcity mindset. The scarcity mindset is really this mindset in which you see the world around you as being a place that does not have enough. There aren't enough jobs, there aren't enough hours in the day, you're not good enough. A worldview in which you are looking at what is lacking versus what is there. And that scarcity mindset can really manifest itself in a lot of different beliefs, like, well, I'm not good enough, so I just have to keep working harder. I have no time for rest. I mean, everyone else is already so ahead of me that I don't have time to, take care of myself. I have to go to the gym without really being contemplative about like, okay, well, how is that overexertion and that fear-based mindset actually inhibiting you from getting to where you want to go? What is it costing you to be so focused on where you are not yet, how you are not yet good enough in your own opinion, what is wrong with you, and what more you need to do? That scarcity mindset often drives dancers to the point of exhausting themselves in a way that actually inhibits them from dancing their best and achieving their goals. It's a vicious cycle that I used to be in, and I see so many dancers doing the same. The other mindset is the belief of unworthiness. So it's like, I haven't earned rest today because I haven't fully exhausted myself. I haven't earned being happy or treating myself, or even just like being proud and grateful for the last week because this, and this, I didn't do well enough. So, I need to just keep focusing on what I need to do better. Both of these mindsets are so hard on us, you guys. I know it's so normal to think these things. It's incredibly normal. I mean, we're always given that impression, especially as female dancers, we're all a dime a dozen. There aren't very many jobs out there. It's so competitive. And I know that those statements are meant to motivate us towards excellence, but they really kind of do the opposite. Yes, we do experience fear-based motivation to work harder, but when we're constantly in that place of fear, lack, scarcity, stress, we actually not only inhibit our wellness in our bodies, our physical wellness, but also our mental and emotional well-being is severely diminished, and our ability to perform our best, and particularly in the sense of our personal artistry, is going to be very, very diminished. We can all tell when we're watching other dancers, when they're totally in their head, when they're scared, when they're insecure. We can tell by the way that they're presenting themselves in their body language. We can feel their energy versus a dancer who is well rested, who is confident, who is joyful, who is able to take mistakes in an appropriately lighthearted manner and just keep going. One who is focused on the kind of effect they want to create through their dancing. That is such a magnetic kind of performer that our eyes are drawn to. And I believe we really only get there when we are focusing on having a healthy mind. I know we're already well into the video, but I think without understanding what often blocks us from taking care of ourselves, we won't really be able to set up a lifestyle that is sustainable for us and that does help us to really fulfill our dreams as dancers. All right, so let's get into the practical ideas. So these will be less of like, go on a walk, eat a nice meal, things like that. They're going to be a little bit broader, these ideas that I have for you, so that you can really start to use your own creativity to actually get in touch with yourself and see what you actually need. That's what I like so much about the tips I'll be sharing today. It's not just like, oh, do these things that work for other people. It's ask yourself these questions so that you can actually get to know yourself and your own needs and desires much better, and then work towards your goals from a place of having that congruence with yourself, that alignment. Hey there, I really hope that you are enjoying this conversation so far and that you're getting so many little gold nuggets out of it that you can practically apply to excel in your own training and career. I want to share with you another fantastic resource that is at your disposal to be able to perform your best consistently, give yourself your best shot at achieving your career goals, and not only do that, but do so with confidence, joy, and mental well-being in the process. You see, as a mindset coach for dancers and a former professional dancer myself, I see that so many dancers out there think it is incredibly normal to struggle with constant self-doubt, to look in the mirror and only see things you don't like, to never feel good enough. All these things clearly not only impact our well-being as performers, but they stop us from doing the very thing we're trying to do, which is perform our best in a way that we're proud of. So I want you to know that support is available. I'm now accepting clients into my one-on-one mindset coaching programs for December and early 2022. This is perfect for you if you are gearing up for audition season or whatever goals you have right now. These coaching programs I've created are specialized to help you optimize your mindset. We dive into releasing the root of that self-doubt, releasing the root, the core beliefs, and all those things that are festering in your mind as comparison, never feeling good enough, all that stuff. We help you to adopt a healthy and confident mindset that helps you perform your personal best. We also focus on creating emotional wellness practices and optimizing your career strategy. All of these things work together so that you can perform your best consistently from a place of mental well-being by training your mind in order to perform your best and not just exhausting your body. That is what I want for you. So if that sounds like something you are looking for in your journey right now, simply visit my website. It's linked down below, kirstenkemp.com. Learn more about my coaching services and exactly what my programs include, and apply for a free 30-minute consultation where you and I will get the chance to know each other. I'll ask you questions about your goals and your challenges, and we'll see if working together would be a fantastic fit for your best year yet in 2022. All right, I can't wait to speak to some of you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. So tip number one is ask yourself, what would make today fun? Have you ever considered that you're allowed to do that? That ballet doesn't always just have to be a grind? That you can even do the exact same activities in your whole day. You could go to class, go to rehearsal, go to the gym, and just by asking yourself what would make today fun, you could literally do all the same things, but actually be energized by them. You could actually have fun, and then at the end of your day, be grateful for how you felt throughout the day. So often, we think that certain results are going to make us feel a certain way, and we disregard that throughout our process, we're feeling miserable, hoping that our end result will make us feel a certain way. But instead, what if we just start tapping into the good feeling that we're really seeking in our goals and have our journeys be ones that are actually filled with satisfaction, so that the end goal is not only more possible, it's easier to get there, you're more likely to stick with it, but then also you're not relying on that end goal to make you a happy person. Because, you know, if that's your mindset, you're going to be waiting forever. And it just seems particularly fitting to say that, considering as dancers, dance is our passion. We usually choose to sacrifice so much to give our lives to this art form because at one point we're like, wow, this is so fun, I want to keep doing it. But then it's like we get the fun trained out of us. And I would encourage you to bring it back. When we start to re-engage with fun, especially as high-level pre-professional and professional dancers, that's when we really get to the next level in our careers, because you will stand out in a sea of dancers who are in that place, sadly, of stress, being shut down, not feeling good enough. It will make you stand out so much, I promise from personal experience, to be the joyful one. So ask yourself in the beginning of the day, what would make today fun? Is it a way to engage with ballet class? Like, today would be fun if I wore this certain leotard. Today would be fun if I took ballet class thinking of taking it as a character I'm going to be playing in the next show, instead of just me. If you just ask yourself that question and just really allow your mind like 10 seconds to contemplate different ideas and then just pick one, it starts to train your mind to remember this can be fun. This experience can be whatever I make it, regardless of what I'm doing. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is that when you are feeling tired and drained, ask yourself this question. What do I really need right now? You can even ask it, what do I need more of right now? And what do I need less of right now? If that first question doesn't instantly bring something to mind. And dancers, I want to add, answer this question as if you are asking it to a friend that you really care about. What do you need more of right now? And be really compassionate with your perspective and your response. You're deserving of that. Answering this question might bring up an answer like, well, I don't have time for that. Well, I know what I really need is to go to the gym and be better at this. No, what I really need is to practice again because that wasn't good enough. No. That's not actually what you really need. When you are feeling tired, discouraged, and drained, what you might really need is, I need a really good night's sleep tonight. I need to take some things off of my to-do list. I need to examine the pressures that I'm putting on myself. Ask myself, what are the expectations that I'm putting on myself? And how is that causing me to feel? How much is that contributing to the sense of defeat and fatigue? Then once you acknowledge those things, ask, well, do I really need those expectations if they're not serving me? How can I just take it easy on myself? Asking yourself what you really need. Again, ask it with that lens of compassion as if you're asking a friend. Because dancers, when our needs, our emotional, mental, physical needs are not being met, you don't just get to ignore those and pretend that it's not going to come back to bite you. I mean, I don't really like using fear-based motivation, but it is true. Your body is very intelligent. Your mind is very intelligent, and so are your emotions. These are cues from your body to let you know, like, hey, I'm trying to help you. I just need to let you know that we need help. So I need you to pay attention to me, and I'll tell you what we need. If you just tune in, it's incredible how you'll actually understand what simple things you need to do to go forward with well-being. Okay, number 3, I'm a huge fan of this. Replace one thing a day that you're telling yourself you should do with something that you want to do. Now, that kind of sounds like the self-care advice that maybe younger me would have cringed at a little bit, but hear me out, okay? So maybe you are imagining that it's well, what I should do is, again, cross-train today. And if I ask myself what I want to do, it's gonna be eat ice cream. Well, maybe, but also not necessarily. It could be something as simple as how am I telling myself I should perform in this rehearsal? Versus, how do I want to perform? If I think of how I really want to feel as I dance, what is that? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Versus, how should I perform so that I don't get any corrections? Both are geared towards helping you perform your best, but one has an energy of stress that will shut you down and actually distract you instead of being in the flow as you dance. The other is geared towards helping you get creative, have that artistic expression that actually is the whole point of dance. Okay, number 4, if your routine is getting stale and boring, or I will also say, for those of you who are scared of veering from your routines to the point where you feel imprisoned by if I don't do this very specific morning routine, I will have a bad day. I know y'all are watching. God bless. I know it's rough. I used to have that sort of mindset as well. If you're in that place, do one thing a week that is out of the ordinary for you in terms of your routine. Switch it up. Maybe instead of going to a Pilates class, try a yoga class. It is so important actually for you psychologically to expose yourself to new things and new environments in particular. Getting outside of your norm actually exposes your mind to different pathways of thought, different ideas. It gets you outside of your ruts that might not be working for you, and it can open your mind to actually increase your neuroplasticity so that you can actually start implementing those new ideas that come to mind, those new routines. You can start to shake up that old perspective, and it can actually bring a lot of joy. It also can help us to remember that, all those routines that we're saying, okay, if I do this, this, and this, and this, I'll get that result. It reminds you that life actually isn't that mathematical. And getting outside of those assumptions and that very mathematical black and white way of thinking can be so good for us as artists and as humans. So try it. So number 5, this one I want to read directly from the Instagram post that I made. When you feel bogged down by self-doubt or the feeling that you're not measuring up, let someone you're close to know and ask for help. Tell them what you need. You are not a burden. Rather, you are giving someone else the joy of getting to love you and see that they can actually make a difference in someone else's life. It's true. It is true. So often, even with our friends as dancers, I've witnessed this so many times and I've been this person. It is so easy to act like you don't want to impose on anyone else. You don't want to share what's really going on, either for fear of judgment or, you just don't want to put that on anyone else. You should be good enough to handle this by yourself. But that's not how we were made. We were made to be communal, relational beings and to support each other. That is so important. And I want to share with you how actually encouraging it is to have someone actually open up and say, this is where I'm at, this is what I need, or hey, can you help me in this certain way? And what's really beautiful about that is I think even though that might feel scary, like you're going out on a limb or you're worried about being judged or, again, imposing on someone, if you're asking the right person, it's actually so beautiful because you're giving them the opportunity to have that satisfaction of knowing that they matter enough for you to ask them, number one. Number two, it actually is really, really good for us as humans, psychologically and emotionally, to give to others and then see that whatever we just did made a positive difference. I mean, honestly, that's why so many people say, I want to make a difference. I want to have a meaningful job. I want to help people. I know a lot of ballet dancers start to get in this mindset of like, what am I doing with my life? It doesn't help anyone. It's meaningless. To which I highly recommend you watch my video from a while back. Is ballet selfish, or is ballet a selfish pursuit? I think that would really help you out and encourage you if you've thought that, which I definitely used to. But it is so important to get yourself out of just holding on to your own struggles and handling them by yourself, because we weren't meant to do that. The same mind and level of thinking that you're in right now is not going to be the level of thinking that can get you out of it. So it is really important to say, like, hey, when you're just feeling really discouraged, talk to your friend who seems like they can listen and say, like, hey, like, that's just how I'm feeling. I just wanted to tell somebody because, like, I'm tired of struggling alone. You might not even know how to, like, ask for help, but that could be enough. And it gives them the opportunity to say, me too, and encourage you, perhaps. Or let someone help you by, saying, hey, like, can we just talk through this one thing? Can you just give me some feedback on this or give me some ideas? Or do you know someone, a certain professional you could recommend that could help me out with this? Giving someone else the opportunity to help not only helps you, but it is also, it can be a really great thing for your relationship, and it can be a beautiful experience for them too. So especially this holiday season, share your burdens with others in a way that is just humble. Like I just shared, I mean, humble isn't like the exact word I'd want to use, but it can just be honest. Like, hey, this is where I'm at. I just don't want to pretend. This is just what I'm feeling. And that can be so refreshing. So when you're experiencing that fatigue or discouragement, reach out to someone and ask for help, however that feels appropriate. With all that being said, my friends, I hope you really enjoyed this video. I hope that there were some really practical takeaways or some ideas that challenged you in a good way, inspired you, encouraged you. I really want to encourage you to apply at least one of these ideas in your own life and to actually prioritize your own well-being, because it is true that you can't give out of an empty cup. So pour back in. You do deserve it. There is enough time. It is very important. Do it. At least do it because I said so. All right, my friends, subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video if you do enjoy it, so I know to make more like this, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye.